Welcome to another episode of Unstoppable. I'm your host, Ralph Graves Jr. So glad that you chose to listen to this podcast or watch this podcast or whatever forum that you're getting us. I think it's really neat that you chose to listen to me. Now, today's guest, her name is Christine. Christine, what's your last name again?
Meyer.
Christine Meyer. I was going to say Myers, but Christine Meyer. Christine Meyer is a sleep coach. We're going to talk about this today. I found Christine on Instagram, and I asked her to be on the show, and she was like, "All right, well, let me figure it out." But she's here. Christine, welcome to Unstoppable. Welcome to Unstoppable.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored. Thank you for asking me.
Well, I'm glad you're here. First of all, tell us all what a sleep coach is.
So, just like there's coaching for anything else, weight management, exercise, stress, there's coaches everywhere now, but coaching is for sleep. Because let's face it, you can go to the doctor if you're having some sleep issues and he can tell you to do X, Y, Z to sleep better. You can read an article about what you should do, but it's the follow through sometimes that can be an issue. We're talking about behavior change.
Yeah.
Sleep, of course, there's biological aspects as well, hormonal issues, medical conditions that can interrupt sleep. But regardless, there's always that behavioral aspect of sleep hygiene and lifestyle change. And it's not easy for everyone, especially as
I never heard called sleep hygiene. This is amazing to me. Like I never heard of sleep hygiene, but continue, please. We'll talk about that.
Sure. So if we say, as you may know or may have heard, let's stay off our electronics an hour before bed. Yeah. So how easy is that for people these days? We're connected to our phones. We're sucked in by our phones, our computers, our televisions. So little things like that. I shouldn't say little, behaviors like that, learning to manage your stress during the day, because what we do during the day from the time we wake up, it's going to follow us to bed. And a lot of what's keeping us up at night it's up here. It's our brain, right? Those random thoughts, the thinking. Yeah. And so I look at it with my coaching as it's a holistic view of everything, emotional, spiritual, physical. Look at the biological. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a nurse, so I don't diagnose things. But if I feel, hey, maybe we need to talk to a doctor about looking at your sleep issues. Maybe I think you might have sleep apnea. It's referring out and getting the help that you need so that you can get that restful sleep.
How important is sleep? Because, and I'm going to say this to you, and you and I talked before we hit record. We're in a society where sleep is frowned upon. People go so much, and I've even used the term, I can sleep when I'm dead. And the older I get, I'm realizing I'm accelerating that process if I don't get my proper sleep. How important is sleep when it comes to just everyday life? Like, how many hours should someone get? I mean, I got so many questions for you. I'm putting it all together. How many hours or how is sleep very important to our immune system? Talk to me.
It is. Technically, anywhere between 7 to 9 hours is what's recommended for adults. Now, we also want to look at the quality of sleep. Are you in bed for 8 hours, but tossing and turning for, 2 of those? Are you getting 6, solid hours sleep, or 7? So the quality definitely is a factor as well. But basically 7 to 9 is what the science says. Sure. And sleep is rest. And that is when our body is resting and recovering. Yeah. So you mentioned the immune system. That's when our immune system is strengthened. Yeah. That's when our heart and our lungs are recuperating. So it's important for managing blood pressure. It's when our body heals, either from injury or from those physical workouts that we're doing. Studies are showing that it's important for brain health. It could be a factor in Alzheimer's risk that we're looking at, and dementia. And it's when we process our emotions as well. We need certain types of sleep to process trauma and emotions that we go through during the day. So it's kind of like memory and detoxing and de-stressing all in one.
Yeah, yeah. And I know one thing, I feel better when I sleep like I'm supposed to. I feel better around that 6.5, 7 hour mark. I feel really good the next day. I still have an early get up time, but that just means I go to bed earlier. That's all that means. That's all that means. I go to bed earlier. I have two grandsons, and I always tell one grandson, listen, your brother is going to outgrow you because he sleeps and you don't. Now, that might be a wives' tale. I don't know, but it kind of happened. I have it's that age when they're going through that growth spurt. Well, they're only a year apart. The one is sleeping. The youngest is sleeping. The oldest is video games, up all night, not sleeping, and he's short. He's little. And his little brother, same parents, they drink the same food, they live in the same household, and the oldest one is little, is short.
Right,
Am
right.
I saying that sleep does have a lot to do with our growth or what in children?
Definitely for brain development, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Right. So they have linked sleep issues in children with maybe ADD, ADHD.
Okay.
So it's definitely important for brain development and growth from the time that we're born.
Okay. Well, he's sharp as
Yeah.
a tack. He's just shorter than his brother. The oldest brother always feels some sort of way when the younger brother gets taller. But I told him what he had to do with sleep. Told him I had to do with sleep. What kind of sleep? What kind of routine? Okay, let me ask for the person. I can't get to sleep at night. I toss and turn. I try to go to bed early. I'm not on my phone. I can't get to sleep at night. Is there a routine, Coach, that you can? I'm going to get serious now for a minute. Is there a routine that you recommend someone could try to begin to do to help them fall asleep?
Sure, sure. And everybody's different. We're all going to have our own routines.
Yeah.
We want to think of a routine as being something that's relaxing. Our body's winding down, our brain is winding down. Because we talked about with technology before, we're go, go, go all day, and then we get into bed and we're thinking that we should just automatically fall asleep after a meditation or a breathing exercise. And sometimes it's not always that easy. We want to, I heard on a podcast, I forget the author's name, but he talked about sleep being like landing a plane.
Okay.
So it's something that should come gradually. We're preparing for it. And again, that starts with the end of your day, having that transition time between work and home, leaving work at the office. And as the evening starts to wind down, sure, watch TV, be on your computer, what you need to do. But about a couple hours before bed, at least an hour, 30 minutes, even if you have to start off with, start turning down the lights.
Okay.
Maybe play relaxing music, read, stretch, meditate, pray, journal, do those things that are not going to be stimulating to your brain
Okay.
so that you can calm down and go to sleep at night. So
don't
you have
expect
to kind of play around with it.
Yeah, yeah. So don't expect, I guess what you're saying to us, don't expect just to jump into bed. So and when I say I go to bed at 9 o'clock, that really means I've shut down everything at 9, but I'm not really going to sleep until 10 because you're right. It's about what it takes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm one that, my wife gets a little upset. I can go to sleep anywhere at any time. When I go to bed, I go straight to sleep. As soon as I turn the TV off, within 5 minutes, Ralph can be asleep. But at the same time, maybe I'm asleep, but not REM sleep. And I want you to talk about the differences between the REM sleeps, the different levels of sleep, if you can, if we have time. Because sometimes I feel like, and I can't, I hate falling asleep with the television on. I hate that because I feel like that information is getting dumped into my subconscious. That's a whole nother conversation for another time.
Mm-hmm.
But I will. Now, say I watched a movie that had to do with Navy SEALs or something like that. Don't you know that I'll dream about that?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you know the last thing I read or last thing I watch, I will dream
Right,
doing
right.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So it's not just it's not just the fact that we have the phone and the TV on. It's what we're watching. And I'm the same way. So I love to watch movies and documentaries about World War II and Vietnam and serial killers. I'm fascinated by it. And they don't scare me while I'm watching it, but same thing. If I watch it in the evening, I'm going to have some pretty wild, kind of unsettling dreams.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing what our brain can do.
Yeah. So I started reading the Bible at night. I just, I pastor a church, and I just said, you know what, I know better than that. Let me just go to read some Psalms before I go to sleep. But let's talk about the different levels of sleep. Are there different levels? I hear a lot about REM. I don't even know what that means.
Right. Not just a band.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So we go through sleep cycles throughout the night. We cycle through it about 4 to 5 times. We start off in that light sleep where it's about maybe like the first 5-10 minutes where you can be, pretty easily awakened.
Okay.
And then we progress down into we call the stage 3 and 4 sleep, which is that deep sleep. And that's that restorative sleep. So that's where the physical healing takes place, memory as well. Okay. And then we start to progress back up through the lighter stages, and then we go into that REM. And REM is what we typically call the dreaming state. You can dream in some deep sleep, but most of it occurs in REM.
Really?
And so REM is more again where we're processing emotions. We're taking what we've learned for the day, and that we're storing that in the deep sleep, and then the REM sleep is kind of filing it away. How are we going to use that in our life? Does it apply to us, type of a thing?
Okay.
And if we don't get enough deep sleep, it can affect that physical body. When we don't get the REM sleep, that's when we're maybe waking up kind of cranky and moody and snapping at people the next day.
When we don't get the REM sleep.
Right. Okay. Right.
So I can have a deep sleep and get jostled out of my deep sleep and never came back up to REM. That doesn't mean I'm fully rested. That means, I could have a crappy day that day.
It could, yeah, especially if you have, and that's called what we call fragmented sleep, is if you keep waking up, you've got to start the sleep cycle over again. So, we all wake up when we end these sleep cycles, we're in light sleep. So we're actually waking up several times a night. We just don't realize it all the time, and we go back to sleep again. Okay. And, but we do, sometimes stay awake because of, again, stressors and things that are going on in the brain.
Okay. Hey guys, over at Instagram, like I said, it's the first time I'm doing this. I'm recording my podcast, and I have on sleep coach Christine Meyer. If you guys want to ask a quick question on Instagram, I can ask her, and you can listen to the podcast when it goes live in December. But I did not know that. I thought that once you were asleep, you were kind of, hey, man, I got my sleep. But in order to have that real rest, I need to go through those different cycles. And how many cycles are there again?
We cycle through about maybe 4 to 5 per night on average.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So to get a real restful night's sleep and really feeling good, I need to get, and that's why those 7 hours is pretty important.
Right. And also if you look up, the sleep cycles, let's say you Google it, you'll see that we experience more deeper sleep in the earlier hours of night, not as much REM. Later in the evening, midnight between 2 a.m., we're getting, and until we wake up, it's less of the deep sleep and more of the REM. Okay. So again, that's where not staying up too late and missing out on some of that deep sleep really comes into play. So it's that balance of, not just getting the 7 hours, but making sure you're going to bed at a time that's best for your body so you can get that deep sleep.
Well, let me ask you this. Does napping count? Now, napping is important, I know. So I know I'm going to watch the fight. I'm out on the East Coast. For some reason, the main event doesn't come out till midnight. Now, I know there's no way in the world I'm going to stay up till midnight. I'm not. So, and get my rest, right? And so me taking a nap earlier, waking up. Now, I've broken the cycle, and I'm just processing this in my head. I've broken the cycle. But now I say to myself, I could stay up later because I took a nap earlier. That's still, I might feel physically good, but that really does that really give my body the rest that it needs in the cycles we're talking about?
It can. They've actually done studies with pilots who are going to be doing, long flights and having them nap earlier. in the day so that they can be more alert during flights, and it can be helpful. Is this something you want to do every single, all the time? No, but every once in a while, something like this will come up. You want to watch your fight. You're going to strategically nap so you can stay up. And yes, you might be more tired the next day, but every once in a while, we got to live life.
Yeah, we do. I'm not against naps, but I'm not a huge advocate of naps. I mean, I've taken them and I've woken up and felt great. And I'm like, man, that was really good. But this is what I hate, Christine. I hate laying down for a nap and waking up 6 hours later. That's not a nap. I actually went to sleep. That's not a nap, So let's talk about, we have a few minutes left. We're in this culture where people take a lot of herbs and teas and things that kind of naturally help them relax and fall asleep. Back in the day, it was just warm milk when I was growing up. You give them some warm milk, and I don't even know if that did the trick. They said it did, but now, I'm lactose intolerant now. I grew into being lactose intolerant, so I can't have the milk. Are there so just, hey, maybe I know my wife, I think it's the chamomile tea at night or something. It just helps me relax. Do these things really work, or are they just, snake oils? Or do you recommend anything?
Yeah, you definitely can. Herbal teas are great. Magnesium has shown to be helpful. They're not a cure-all. They're not going to necessarily make you fall asleep, but can help you feel more relaxed so that you can sleep. It's funny. I'll go on to Instagram and Facebook pages and see someone say, I can't sleep. And someone says, oh, make sure you diffuse lavender oil. That solved my problem. Someone else said, take this many milligrams of magnesium. And it's different for everybody.
Right.
There's not one size fits all. It's just like weight loss. There's basic principles of weight loss that we want to follow, but everyone's going to do it in their own way.
Yeah.
Same thing with sleep. So you can't just take a pill and automatically fall asleep. I mean, you could certain pills, but you're probably not going to sleep well. Yeah. So there are a lot of great things that you can do in the evening to feel, more relaxed. As long as it's not doing your body harm, then there's no harm in that.
Yeah. And we're talking about natural stuff, guys. Of course, you could take some over-the-counter things that aren't natural to your body and whatever the case may be. But we're talking about natural sleep aids and why. Do you care to share your secret? What are some of your sleep aid secrets?
My big thing is about an hour before bed, I'm dimming the lights because you may have heard of melatonin, which signals our body that it's time to wind down and go to sleep. That's produced as the sun starts going down, which isn't a problem now with the time change we've had. But, we have lights everywhere, not only in our house, but we can go out grocery shopping at 10 o'clock at night now. So that disrupts that circadian rhythm. So I make sure that I turn off overhead lights as much as possible, use table lamps. I try to turn off the TV, the computer about 45 minutes before I go to bed. I do yoga. I'll do breathing exercises, prayer as well. I love a warm shower. Studies show that you do need to cool your core body temperature down in a couple of degrees, 1 or 2 degrees, to be able to sleep well. So a warm bath or a warm shower is a great way to do that. And it just feels good anyway. It's nice and relaxing. So that's what I do. Sometimes I'll read a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, again, it's just kind of things that your brain's not thinking too much. If I do read, I try not to read books that I'm really getting sucked in or that are very interesting. So you do want to read things that are kind of on the calmer, maybe even the boring side.
Yeah. I just think that, and it's the real, one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you and really educate the men and women, the younger men and women who are listening, that sleep has gotten a bad name. Sleep has gotten a bad rep over the last, hustle generation. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Well, there's no hustle if you can't get the rest you need. We're not talking, sleeping all day and not producing. I'm a firm believer, and studies don't have to tell me that proper rest really results in proper production throughout the course of the day.
Definitely. Productivity, focus, how you interact and communicate with other people, your family.
Yeah.
So definitely. Yeah. There's, like you said, there's tons of research, but we know when we've had a bad sleep that we're moody. We may eat crummy food. I don't know if you've noticed that. It affects your appetite. There's just so many things that it does affect. And that's part of my mission, is I almost feel like I have to convince people sometimes that this really is important.
Yeah.
Just because, like you said, we kind of laugh about it. I went to a coffee shop not too long ago, and the little coffee sleeve said, who needs sleep? And it was funny, but at the same time, I was
Right.
like, oh, no, it's not funny. So again, we think, okay, well, I'm fine. I didn't sleep enough, but I've got coffee and I've got chocolate and those other things to keep us awake.
Yeah.
But it ends up just being this vicious cycle. We feel crummy. And it's about, learning that awareness and just taking those little steps here and there to make some of those behavioral changes. And if you feel like there's a medical issue as well that's affecting your sleep, to get that discussed with a healthcare professional.
Our time together has been great. Now, where can this audience find you? How can they find you? How can they hire you? How can they find Christine Meyer? Tell us.
Sure. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Christine Sleep Coach. I do have a website. It's under construction though. So if you go there, it's going to say it's not safe. But I do one-on-one coaching. I can do wellness workshops in the workplace. So if anyone is interested in that, I have kind of what I call it one and done, which is 60 minutes to better sleep, where we talk about your sleep habits, everything that you're doing with lifestyle, biological, physiological, and come to walk away with like a 30-day plan of things that you can start doing to improve your sleep. So you can reach out to me, message me through the social media realms, and happy to connect.
I love it. Now I have a question for you. What, two questions actually. First question is, give me one of your rules for life. Just one of your rules for life.
Ooh. I would say work through the fear.
Work through the fear. Wow. Okay. All right. And second question, I like to ask all my guests this. My audience knows what's coming. You could have a billboard anywhere and it could say anything. Where would it be and what would it say?
Ooh.
Anywhere in the world, it could say anything. Now, you already said work through the fear. It could say that too. I don't know. If it was on the billboard, where would it be in the world and what would it say?
I think it would say, "You've got this."
Yeah, I need.
Gosh, where would I put it? We need those billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always see some very interesting billboards, like out driving through the desert. Just like you're out there driving, there's nothing around, you see this billboard, and it just the message kind of pops at you. So yeah, somewhere off the 10 freeway, way out in going west to east there.
Love it. Well, thank you for being part of the Unstoppable program. I really thank you for taking your time and enlightening us on the importance of sleep. And guys, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. This has been Unstoppable Podcast. Reach out to Christine Meyer. You will find her anywhere. Christine Sleep Coach on Instagram and different portals and different platforms. Please find her, download it, DM her, and let's get the sleep that you need. You've been listening to Unstoppable. My name is Ralph Graves Jr. God bless you.